right, here we are. Good morning. Welcome to the PT Daily Show. Happy Thursday morning. I hope your morning is off to a fantastic start. Live here on Facebook and also on Instagram. My name is Alan. I'm happy to be your host today. Currently have the pleasure of serving as the Chief Operating Officer for the Institute and a faculty member in our Fitness Athlete Division. We are here on Thursday morning, which means it is Leadership Thursday. We talk all things practice ownership, leadership, business management. It's Thursday, which means it is Gut Check Thursday. So this week's Gut Check is a 10-minute AMRAP, as many rounds and reps as possible of the following workout. 10 box jumps. The prescribed height there, guys are going to jump to the 24-inch box, ladies to the 20-inch box. So that should be a height that you can easily manage. 10 box jumps. You should be able to step down, jump right back up into your next jump. Then you're going to move to the barbell. You're going to do 15 push jerks. Guys are going to push jerk 95. Ladies are going to push jerk 65 pounds. That should be a weight that you could do unbroken or maybe one short break. It should move quite fast and quickly. And then where your score comes in this week, you're going to jump on a fan bike, an Echo bike, an Assault air bike, a Schwinn Airdyne, Zybex, whatever you got. You're going to jump on that fan bike and you're going to do 20 seconds of maximum calories. So as many calories as you can get in 20 seconds. Maybe anywhere from 5 to 10 on the high end if you really crank that bike and kind of go for a dead sprint. So it doesn't matter how many rounds you get through. What matters this week is how many calories you get on that air bike. So you're going to crush your legs with box jumps. Going to then ask you to lift overhead with your legs, which are fatigued, and then crush your legs on the bike. So a lot of heavy leg fatigue. It's going to slow down those box jumps. It's going to slow down those push jerks, and it's going to slow down that maximum power output on the fan bike as well, the longer you get through that 10-minute AMRAP. I think that if you can maybe chew through 25 to 50 calories for your score this week, you'll be doing quite well on this workout. So hit up Gut Check. Remember, tag us, post your time lapse, and we'll be happy to reshare that. Coming your way, some things coming soon that are not ice related. Tonight, Crossfit Health is having a webinar. We've been sharing these in Hump Day Hustling, our weekly newsletter, which you can sign up for on our website. Crossfit Health has been doing bi-weekly webinars that are free on Thursday evenings at 6 Eastern with Dr. Julie Fouché. And then each bi-weekly webinar has a special guest. This week is Dr. Gabrielle Lyon. She is going to speak on muscle mass and aging optimization. So these are more medical provider focused webinars. They are free. If you go to Hump Day Hustling, you have the link to get registered. We'll share it here as well on our Instagram story so you can get registered to get that Zoom link. So again, these are focused for us. They're focused for physicians, physical therapists. They're more so on kind of the patient management side of the equation, more so than kind of the fitness side of the CrossFit Health spectrum. And then CrossFit Health announced this week they are going to start bringing their annual conference back. It will be January 21st and 22nd. That's a Friday, Saturday. Very cheap. It's $59 if you use the promo code ICE10 to get $10 off. It is worth 16 CEUs. It is a Friday and Saturday, but it'll be recorded if you can't make it. So if you can't watch on Friday and or Saturday, you can still go back and watch the recordings and get your Con Ed. This is going to be a 2-day seminar. Whole bunch of different speakers, physicians, Dr. Kelly Starrett, a physical therapist. If you don't know him, he's going to be on there. There's an entire day focused around injury and CrossFit and kind of musculoskeletal rehab. So again, these CrossFit Health webinars and conferences are much more medical provider focused than they used to be. So make sure you check those out. On the ice side of things, we are done for live courses for the year. This is the time of the year when we update our courses, make sure we include any up-to-date evidence, revamp how they look, take your feedback into consideration as we prep for the new year. Some online courses coming your way in the new year. Clinical Management Fitness Athlete Pregnancy and Postpartum starts January 3rd. Modern Management of the Older Adult Essential Foundations starts January 5th. And then we have some live courses starting in January. You can join Christina and myself here for Older Adult Live at CrossFit Fenton in Fenton, Michigan. That will be the weekend of January 8th. You can catch Dustin the weekend after that, the weekend of January 15th for Older Adult Live down in Nashville. And then you can catch Lindsay Huey down in Atlanta the weekend of January 15th for Extremity Management. So some online and live courses starting at the beginning of the year for you. Okay, enough gabbing about announcements. Let's get into today's topic. Let's talk about payment hybridization, the idea of going out of network and becoming a clinic that still might accept some insurances, but is also going out of network and starting to accept cash only with various insurances. So the first thing we need to accept is that we hear this all the time. It seems to be one of the only things coming out of our national association is fighting these reimbursement cuts, right? We are stopping the cut. We are fighting the cut. And I don't know about you, but I've been hearing about this since I got involved in the profession of physical therapy. I remember writing letters to Congress people in grad school almost a decade ago to stop the cuts. And not surprising, nobody answered my letters and the cuts didn't stop. So I think we need to get rid of the idea that reimbursement cuts are ever going to reverse and that insurance companies are going to start calling us up and offering to pay us more than they already do. I think we need to let that go out of our mind. That ship has definitely sailed. We can get into the weeds of why that is. It's mainly because maybe not you sitting here listening to me, and definitely not me here as a clinician. We are probably not overutilizing care, but as a profession, we overutilize care. For every one of us that sees a patient one-on-one for an hour and bills maybe 4 units, or even bills less than that, says, I only think I gave 45 minutes of actual one-on-one skilled care, I'm going to bill 2 or 3 units. For every one of us that is billing ethically and maybe even being too ethical, there are a dozen clinics that are seeing 4 patients an hour and billing every single patient 7 units. And so as long as patients are leaving a 8 or 12 week physical therapy episode of care with a $10,000 insurance bill, those reimbursement cuts are never ever going to stop. In addition, we also have more and more insurance companies switching to flat rate models where they have kind of caught on that these big corporate clinics are overbilling people, sending people out the door with the 7-unit charge and saying, we will pay for physical therapy, but we're going to pay per visit, not per unit. And so we have insurance companies like Blue Care Network, United Healthcare, Aetna, Cigna. You probably have a lot of local payers that are switching to flat rates as well, which are going to be the death of your ability to accept insurance if you continue to maintain your contracts with those insurance companies. The other issue with a lot of these flat rate payers is that they tend to be HMO based, which means they come with the need for an authorization. So not only do they not pay a lot of money, they have a lot of back-end logistical work, which means either your therapists have to work harder or you have to pay more for support staff to do all that back-end work, to pull authorizations and call insurance companies and log into these portals and do all these reports and that sort of thing. So alongside declining reimbursement per unit comes these flat rate payers that also have a lot of legwork. Now, for those of you who may not know what the back end of a clinic looks like and billing, maybe you just go to work and see the patients, it doesn't look very good, right? It looks like a lot of these flat rate payers paying between $40 on the low end to $70 on the high end per visit, which is not financially sustainable for long-term growth, right? What that translates into is very quickly you come to the conclusion that if we are going to accept these payers, we have to see multiple people per hour, or give the patient less time. Maybe you say we can only see people with a certain insurance for 30 minutes or something, or we pass the buck on to our therapists. And so the onus is on us, is the clinic directors, the clinic owners, to ensure our therapists are not overworked and underpaid. So we have to get control of what's going on with our insurance payment. We shouldn't say, based on your insurance, we can only see you for 20 or 30 minutes. That seems unethical. Likewise, it also seems unethical and probably illegal, depending on insurance and state, to ask your therapist to see more of those patients per hour. It is also, not a lot of people know this, illegal to bill the patient the difference between what you receive and what you bill. So if you bill a patient $100 and they have a flat rate insurance that gives you $40, you cannot pass that $60 onto the patient. And again, this is something that some clinics do, which is definitely unethical and in most states illegal, but it happens anyways. And so we find ourselves in the state of physical therapy here at the end of 2021, where a lot of us are seeing a ton of patients. We're not making very much money. The clinic isn't making very much money. We are doing a lot of back-end work for insurance authorizations, and maybe we're even breaking the law trying to pass on the difference in payment to the patient because what we got paid from the insurance company doesn't match up with what we would like to get paid or what we need to get paid to keep our lights on. And so we come to the conclusion that as a profession, almost all of us, some states still have really good insurance reimbursement, and you don't need to make a lot of changes, but for most of us in most states, we need to change it up. We need to identify which insurances we can no longer afford to take, and we need to consider going out of network with them. Now, what does that look like? Again, if you're not familiar with the back end of a clinic, maybe you're a student, maybe you're a new grad, or you just don't have any kind of knowledge on the back end of what it looks like to own and operate a clinic, is we should have an idea, we should be able to sit down and crunch what is the dollar amount we need to make per patient or per hour to be profitable. What do we pay our therapists out of that? What is left to pay the expenses? And then what is left to do the payroll maybe for our support staff? Or maybe if you, the owner-operator, you're doing a lot of logistical work, what does it look like to have some sort of money left to pay yourself for the work that you're doing when you're not actively seeing patients? And so you should come to a point where you know this number like the back of your hand. We have a good handle on this number here, and I think this is a number every clinic owner should know because it's going to guide and inform a lot of our decisions. It's going to let you know, do we have the money to buy that new table? Do we have the money to buy another squat rack? Do we have the money to bring on another back-end support person? Do we have the money to be able to withstand bringing a new therapist on board who's likely not going to be at a full caseload for a number of weeks or months and still be able to pay them as if they were working full-time so that they're not working, being available to work 40 hours a week and you only pay them for the couple hours a week that they actually have patients. So we need to know that number. It lets us inform a lot of the financial decisions that we make in the back end of the clinic. What's nice is everybody has an EMR now. Everybody has state-of-the-art billing software for the most part. And you can pull these reports and have the technology do a lot of this work for you. So we use, right now, unfortunately, WebPT, which I hate, but we use WebPT, which has an automated billing backend built in called Theraville. And so we can pull these reports in a couple of minutes and crunch that math, which is nice. We can look at how much we've collected from insurance, how much we've collected from cash, and then we can break down the insurance and see what we have pulled for each individual insurance plan. So that lets us get a number of what we're making on the back end to better determine, is this insurance worth it for us to keep taking it or not? And what you'll find if you sit down and do this math is you are taking some insurances where you are, if you're not breaking even, you might even be losing money to see that patient, right? You are giving your visits away, right? That's a charity visit. If what you're getting paid for that visit is less than that break-even point, you're losing money, right? So we have a couple insurances where we break even. We have a couple of these flat rate insurances where we make $3 to $10 a visit after paying the therapist to see that patient. And we have a couple where we lose a couple bucks a visit, right? So if you look at the long-term financial viability of a clinic, it's not there accepting those insurances versus more federal insurances, TRICARE, Medicare, and a lot of commercial PPOs. Blue Cross Blue Shield is common in almost every state. Those tend to pay a lot better. So where we might receive $40 flat rate for a workers' compensation visit from One Call Care, we might get above $130 a visit for Blue Cross, PPO, Medicare, TRICARE. And so you can start to pull apart from the data, these lower paying insurances need to go eventually, these other ones we can keep. And so that's where we come to this fork in the road of payment hybridization, of we need to dump some of these low payers, we need to go out of network with them. Now we have to realize when we're first starting a clinic, when we're first growing, it's probably the unfortunate truth that we need to run at a little bit of a loss and hope that the other insurances make up the difference so that we can get butts in the clinic, right? So that we can get people through our door that we help, that help generate that word of mouth buzz, that bring more people back to our doorstep who hopefully don't have these lower paying insurances, and also start to get your name around to some of the primary care physicians in town. And we need to, as Jeff Moore would say, focus on getting good, not busy, helping these people, and then we get to have the privilege to decide to drop some of these insurances. And slowly over time, you'll come to that decision where, okay, we either have to start seeing people every 30 minutes or every 15 minutes, which is not something that I support personally, ethically or morally, or we need to start looking at dropping some of these insurances, which is something we are going to be doing here at Health HQ into the next year, right? We've come to that fork in the road where we have more people who want to be seen than we have time for, and again, we have kind of earned that privilege to dump some of these lower paying insurances, which can be scary, right? You have built up a caseload, whether you're an individual practitioner or you have multiple therapists working underneath you. You maybe have multiple locations with multiple therapists, and you're still taking these low paying insurances, and it can be scary knowing that people are going to call and you're going to say, we don't take that insurance, you'll have to pay out of pocket. We can talk about potential out-of-network reimbursement, and that's going to result in that phone call where people say, okay, I think I'm going to go somewhere else so I can use my insurance, and we have to get comfortable with that conversation. We also need to get comfortable looking into those insurances that we're thinking about dumping and seeing what out-of-network reimbursement potential there is. And what you'll actually find is that some of the insurances that may only pay you $50 a visit flat rate will actually pay the patient more in out-of-network reimbursement than what they pay you on a contractual basis to your clinic to see that patient. So we have insurance here, Priority Health or something. I believe it pays $68 flat rate a visit, but they will pay 90% of whatever we charge the patient out of network. So it makes no sense to be in network with that insurance at all, right? It pays us way less than we would make seeing that patient out of pocket, and on the patient's end, it actually ends up being the same cost. Whether they pay 10% of the visit out of network or in network, it's the same cost to them. So the patient notices no difference. They get a super bill, they upload it to a portal. It's a few minutes of extra work per visit or at the end of the entire plan of care, and you get paid twice as much. So it's worth sitting down and doing the research into some of these insurances to see it actually probably makes more sense to be out of network with them. And then also just the realization that more and more people have high deductible plans. They're paying out of pocket even if they have insurance, so it's no difference to them. And that even if they are now paying out of pocket versus paying the insurance company, they may be able to use something like an HSA or FSA card with you and actually end up paying less out of pocket when you're out of network with your insurance than if you were in network. So it's worth sitting down, especially again, this is, end of the year's wrapping up, sitting down, doing your financials, mending the nets for the next year. This is a great time to sit down, crunch those numbers. What does my break even look like? What am I getting paid from some of these insurances? What do their out-of-network benefits look like? Call around and establish a game plan for 2022 to start breaking some of these chains, right? Recognizing that cuts will never stop. No one is going to call you and offer you more money for the work you're already doing. We probably shouldn't be pushing the extra workload onto our therapists just because we, as the owners, have made arguably a bad decision to sign contracts with these flat rate payers, and then at some point we need to come to that fork in the road where we look at hybridization, where we look at, if we're not thinking about out-of-network entirely, that we're thinking about out-of-network with some of these lower paying insurance companies, keeping the ones that pay us well and or are not a lot of work, that are completely automated, push a button, the note's done, push a button, the billing's done, boom, money's in the bank account. Those are worth keeping around versus the ones that don't pay us well and are a lot of headache for paperwork. We need to look at dumping those. Recognize there's going to be an uncomfortable point there where you have to say no to people on the phone when they call and try to get scheduled, that some people are going to look somewhere else, even if maybe they've already been a patient with you because they want to use their insurance. But in the long term, it's going to be better for your therapists. It's going to help that feeling of burnout and attrition that you will get if you start offloading more visits onto them. With that comes longer term growth, the ability to add more therapists, more locations. And again, like we always talk about here on Thursday, look at the long game. Look at 10 years down the road, not 3-month productivity numbers from now, right? Focus on the long game, and what's best for your folks in your clinic is probably going to be dumping some of these insurances. And personally, I can't wait to dump some of the ones. The ones we are looking at dumping have 15 to 20 minutes of authorizations. Some of them only get 2 or 3 visits. We have to do the authorization again, and we maybe even lose a couple bucks seeing those patients. So I'm looking forward to breaking those chains as soon as possible, and I think it's worth you all sitting down and looking at those numbers and that data and probably coming to the same conclusion. If not this year, then definitely should be something on the front of your mind moving through the next year as you kind of sit down at the end of the year every year and do your financials. So give that some thought. I think that's really where our profession is going. Is obviously everybody has seen the success of Onward and being completely out of network. Most of us are still accepting at least some insurances, but I think this is the way to go. So give this some thought as we get towards the end of the year here. We're all going to be in Charlotte this weekend. We have our own continuing education to do. We get together at the end of every year and do our own Con Ed. So we're all going to be in Charlotte this weekend. So looking forward to connecting with everybody from ICE. I think we're going to have a big group of 40 or so down there. If I don't see you all again, I hope you all have a wonderful holiday season. Merry Christmas, Happy New Year. Have a great Thursday. Have fun with Gut Check. Check out those CrossFit Health events, and have a great Thursday. Bye, everybody.
Hey, thanks for tuning in to the PT on Ice Daily Show. If you enjoyed this content, head on over to iTunes and leave us a review. And be sure to check us out on Facebook and Instagram at the Institute of Clinical Excellence. If you're interested in getting plugged into more ICE content on a weekly basis while earning CEUs from home, check out our virtual ICE online mentorship program at ptonice.com. While you're there, sign up for our Hump Day Hustling newsletter for a free email every Wednesday morning with our top 5 research articles and social media posts that we think are worth reading. Head over to ptonice.com and scroll to the bottom of the page to sign up.